Hi, it's me, Ricardo. I'm a little shorter than you're used to because I'm sitting on this little stool trying to get everything in frame here. What I'm here to talk to you about today is how to bag fish for auction. I did promise a couple people that I would make this video. It's going to be short and sweet. I don't have a mic, so I turned off every filter in my fish room, including my dehumidifier. So right now I'm essentially panicking that my fish are dying. But don't worry about them. Everything's good. This is going to be a 10-minute video at most. I want to talk about a couple things. Mainly only about bagging, but and I'll probably be getting up and down out of frame as I go to do stuff. Hopefully you can see I'm going to do it in one shot, but a couple things are this. No one ever taught me how to bag, and I've only been in the hobby a few years, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other ways to bag fish. So take it with a grain of salt. This is not for shipping. This is only for prepping for auction. First thing is, I got 3 different size bags. You can buy bags online at Uline or on eBay or even on Amazon. I will put in the description some links to places that I've bought bags from. But what you're looking for is poly bags, open-ended, of course. And you're going to want to know the sizes. I'll tell you what the different sizes of these bags are. They all suit different purposes, but one thing you should know is thickness. 1 milliliter is way too thin for bagging most fish. 2 milliliters probably is a great combination of ease to manipulate the bag and thickness. 3 milliliter and 4 milliliter are for bigger fish, so pay attention to the size or the thickness of the bag when you're purchasing. I like 2 milliliter if I'm just doing auction. Like I said, it's a good size. Now, when I first bought bags, I just guessed at what size bags I needed, and that was a horrible, strategy, because I ended up with paper-sized bags, and they were all like too short and too fat. So, for instance, this bag is about 5 wide by 16 inches, so 5 inches by 16 inches, 5 across, 16 up and down. Great for guppies, killifish, shrimp, small plants, or any sort of stem plants. These work great for those, okay? The next size up, which is probably going to be good for 99% of people, and is going to mean a lot of community fishing stuff, and this is what I'm going to use today in the demonstration. This is about 20, it's about 10 by 20, okay? So it's 10 across, 20 up and down, 10 in width, 20 in length. And then this bag I tend to use a lot. As you might know, I'm a cichlid guy, and so I do groups of 6 juveniles in this, or 1 big male. And when you're bagging fish, you probably, if they're adults, you want to separate them between the sexes if they're aggressive, like cichlids are. This bag is looks to be 12 by 24, so about 12 by 24 on that bag. Yeah, so a couple tips before I start getting bagging is you want to separate adult fish. They tend to beat up on each other if they're cichlids. If they're community fish, you probably get away. You just need to know what kind of fish you're bagging. I'm sure if you're bagging a fish for auction, it's something that's been in your collection or you've bred. So you have a pretty good idea if you can keep males and females in a confined space. Guppies are typically fine, platies, any of your live bearers are typically fine. Some killifish you'll definitely want to separate. A lot of cichlids you're definitely going to want to separate. males and females. Unfortunately, I have taken fish to auction and they've killed each other in the bag, so I speak from experience. I don't know that a lot of you watching this are going to be bagging cichlids. You can if they're small African juveniles. You definitely can bag up about 6 or 5 2-inch fish without any problem, and even up to maybe 3 inches. But after that, it starts to get imperative that you split them up. So typically I'm getting ready the morning of an auction. Since I bag a lot of fish, I might have a barrel of water that I've already treated with dechlorinator on hand. And what I'll typically do is net out all the fish into different buckets that I want to bag up, and I'll have maybe a trash can off to the side of water that's already dechlorinated and ready to go. I like to bag my fish in fresh water. They're already going to be in there. They're going to be going to the bathroom. They're going to be fouling up the water. So I like to use fresh dechlorinated tap water to give them just the cleanest water for the longest amount of time. I don't recommend bagging them up in tank water. Unless your tank water is very clean, I would recommend fresh water. You can use tank water, but like I said, fresh water is probably the best bet. So for purposes of demonstration, here I go. Got your bag here. I like to use this handy dandy bucket, and I like to fold up my bag and put it in here. And what it does is it sort of holds the form of the bag. Otherwise, trying to pour water into the bag can be very difficult. But you want to roll it down a bit. You don't have to use a bucket. You don't have to use a specific bucket, but I would suggest that you try to use a bucket. Now, I'm going to take my fresh water. This is my fresh, non-dechlorinated water, and I'm going to pour in. I don't want to pour in too much. I want to cover the top of the fish, but I definitely want to have more oxygen or more air than I do water. So I shoot for like 1/3 of the bag being water. You'll have to use some of your own judgment based on how big the fish is. So immediately I go ahead and I use the dechlorinator. We're imagining that I just took this water out of the tap. I use a dechlorinator. Safe is something that I use in my fish room. It's powder. It's a little harder to do in super small quantities. ZooMed sells AquaPure. This is kind of cool because the water turns blue when you've treated it. So I just spray in a little bit and stir it up with my chopstick or spoon or whatever, and there my water is ready. Typically I'll allow more time to elapse, let the water to rest a little, but let's just imagine this is my fish. I've netted it out, and in my fish goes. Then I'm going to open up my bag, and I brought a couple things here. I have 2 ways that I seal bags. One of them is rubber bands. This is probably going to be the most useful for you. Rubber bands, and you'll see a lot of different techniques on this, but what I like to do is put my hand in a little bit, open up the bag, try to get as much air as possible in there. Now a lot of people will go super quick and try to close it. I just go to the top and I close it reasonably quick, and I start twisting. Okay, one easy thing I found to do is to make sure that I twist it all the way to the top here, and then I start twisting the bag. Okay, at this point you could take it out of your bucket if you wanted to. I tend to leave it in there, but what I do is I'm going to twist this bag until it gets really tight and puffy, and I can sort of feel that it has a good form and is likely to hold up. And after that, let's say that this is where I want to stop. I will then bend this over like this, and I will take 2 rubber bands. I will put one side as tight as possible, as close to the bottom of the knot as I can, and then what I'll do is twist and go back over, and then make that as tight as possible. Do the same thing. So on and so forth. Each time I try to keep it as tight as possible. Now there's some other techniques like just sort of tying it in one direction. Well, let's say, there you go, fish is in bag. I definitely would try to fill it with more water. If this is your whole bag, I'd want to go about a third, depending on the fish. Remember, a lot of the time it's going to be sitting like this, and you want the water to cover the fish. But the reason that we put not so much water in and we put more air in is because they're not going to use up the water, but they'll definitely use the air. So giving them the most air possible gives them the best chance of survival. So another tip is I always double bag. This bag's already sprung a leak. It's probably why it was on my floor. But to double bag, real simple. Take another bag of the same size. Put the top of the bag that you just sealed in, and then you just want to scooch it in. You could be more gentle when you have fish in there. Don't give them too much of a headache. But here we go. This is double bag. So what this does is it prevents fish from getting